No, bards are not the best class in Dungeons and Dragons, Chris. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Around Comics, the comic book culture podcast where we talk about everything in and around the world of comics. Right off the bat, I am Brian Salazar. With me, as always, my co-host, my partner in crime, Jimmy Woo, Chris Niesman.
Yep, you're the only man that could convince me to play a freaking bard in D&D. Chris, why don't you play a bard?
Yeah. Hey, okay. They're useful characters. You'll have fun. You'll have fun.
Useful. That's in the D&D world. That's AKA cannon fodder.
No, not at all.
That's you're a support character. So whenever the shit hits the fan, we'd like you to stand over there.
Well, I always do the same thing though. I'm the guy who's like, okay, what do we need? And I'm like you. I'm always either a cleric or a paladin because nobody wants to play them, and every party needs them. Although we don't have one in our party, so that's going to be interesting. We don't have a healer at all. So
as the bard learned a couple healing spells. Because like not one freaking cleric amongst you. Everyone wants to be a freaking wood elf ranger, barbarian, whatchamacallit.
Hey, so this is not around Dungeons and Dragons, but it is around comics, and this is our Trade Talks episode of the month. We're talking about House of L, Volume 1. It was
Tom's pick. Guess who's late again?
Yeah, so we'll have to wait till he gets here to start talking about it. But before we get there, I just wanted to remind everybody that we are putting out all sorts of bonus material, additional content on our Patreon page. There's the man himself. There he is, Tom. Patreon page, patreon.com/aroundcomics. We got some new patrons this week, and we of course thank all of you for supporting
them. Who did we get this week? Name our patrons.
Let me look it up. Hold on. I will
do we appreciate names. I checked out your Days of Future Stacks this week. Yeah, it's going to help guide me at the comic shop tomorrow. I appreciate it. Some good ideas.
I'm still amazed at how much fun I'm actually having doing that stupid segment of the show. I don't know why I like doing it, but it's kind of fun. I just get to, I'm slowly sort of adding in like just some other commentary into it as I go along.
No. By the way, we set a bad precedent on Sunday night.
We did.
We talked almost twice as long about the episode that we were reviewing.
Twice as long as the episode itself. We did. And we made a big mistake. Someone pointed out on Twitter that talking about, of course, the ACTV WandaVision After Hours, our after show podcast that's on patreon.com/aroundcomics if you'd like to listen to that. We were talking about how in episode 4 of that show they revealed a bunch of some of the people in the town, and we had surmised, or maybe
they're sword agents, and they're not. They're not. So but whenever they're building the board, they have a gigantic thing that says sword above them. So,
my assumption was I thought some of them had that sheet and some of them didn't. So the ones that did. And I went back and looked, and it was actually all of them did, and it was just like a sword letterhead profile.
I think it's an egregious overuse of company letterhead.
I think you're right. Jimmy Woo is going to get... They're not even sword agents. Why is Jimmy Woo even using that letterhead? He doesn't work for sword. What the hell? He shouldn't be allowed in the goddamn office supplies.
I'm going to give us a pass on that one.
All right. Anyway, so our patrons that signed up recently, we want to thank Derek B, Brian R, and Philip Q. Thank you all for signing up for Patreon and being patrons and getting. I know they're all looking forward to Tom versus. We announced this week that Tom is returning, the triumphant return of Tom versus.
I got to figure out how to do it again.
It's very difficult.
I think you'll be okay.
Technically difficult, right?
I was gonna,
You picked your series, right?
Yeah, I'm doing Freedom Fighters.
Yeah.
So you can expect that by the weekend.
Sweet. I know people are looking forward to that. So
lots see how many technical difficulties I have trying to do this. Where I'm like, wait.
That's kind of like cute now. I think people do that on YouTube on purpose. You see like people doing like cuts, all sorts of cuts on YouTube.
Wasn't that the big Brie Larson thing? It's like, I just don't know how this works.
I don't know how to work this microphone.
I don't have an entire film crew here.
What?
Yeah, I don't have a professional film crew sitting in my house.
Yeah. I got a couple 30 minutes with interviews coming up as well.
Fantastic.
So all sorts of fun stuff.
I can't believe you guys talked longer than the episode.
we got into stuff.
We did.
Twice as long.
It was good stuff, though. We got into some good, meta thinking about the show, and I talked about weird commercials that freak me out now after watching WandaVision, because I see all the manipulation that's happening in advertising all these years.
Yeah.
Thanks again to everybody. And as always, you can reach us at info@aroundcomics.com. You can also reach us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And we are on Twitch and YouTube now and Periscope if you want to watch this somewhere other than wherever you happen to be watching this. Or if you're not watching it, if you're listening to it and you want to watch it, we have a YouTube channel, we have a Twitch station, we have a Periscope thing. You can find all that.
The net has been cast wide.
It has. We're on Around Comic. All the links are on aroundcomics.com. There's a menu item that says connect, and all the links are in there. So if you want to connect to us in any way possible, you absolutely can. And also, I want to please ask people, if I can, if you're enjoying the return of Around Comics. I know this is a long intro. If you're enjoying the return of Around Comics, though, please think about going to iTunes if you listen to us on iTunes, which most people do, and write a review or rate the show. That always helps more people find us. And hello to everyone in Bangladesh that is listening to the show. We have some people in Bangladesh.
It's all of our friends in India that spread the word to their neighbors in Bangladesh.
Yes.
Let's jump in, and yes, all that stuff. We love the interaction. Keep it coming. It's been great. Tom, you picked our Trade Talks book in our rotation, and I think it was it kind of a.
Had to get that in there. Sorry, we had to get the Trade Talks.
Stand up with like a wireless microphone at that point and like a pointer and start wandering around the stage.
I steal from the best.
It was kind of a blind pick, yeah.
Yeah, I just randomly picked it because it was available on Hoopla, and it was new.
Yeah,
and we're talking about House of L, Book 1, The Shadow Threat, written by Claudia Gray and illustrated by Eric Zawadzki.
I'm going to say Zawadzki. I'm going to confidently say Zawadzki.
Yeah. Well, you are from Green Bay, so
Zawadzki. Yeah, so it's just random. I picked it randomly, and it was pretty good.
Agree?
I did not dislike it.
It made me want to read more Superman comics, which I haven't really wanted to read Superman comics in a while, and it kind of made me want to read like old Superman comics.
Yeah. I'll read the next one. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I was like,
it reminded me when we talked to John Byrne way back a lifetime ago, and he talked about having to kind of not reinvent, but kind of clarify, I guess, maybe a way of putting it. The Superman that was coming out of Crisis, and so it was a different kind of Superman, and he actually created some of the modern Superman mythos that we take for granted now, 35 years, whatever, after that. And this book actually changed some Superman mythos, and I will get into it later, but it changed some Superman and Kryptonian mythos. As far as I know, that was really, really interesting. And you don't get that a lot in Superman stories. They're kind of, almost boilerplate, where this actually kind of pushed some DC history that hasn't been explored. And I thought that was really interesting.
To me, the thing is that none of the stuff in there is totally new. Like, it's all stuff that's been played with. When I sort of brought up picking this book, one of the things that was intriguing about it was like, everyone knows Superman's origin story, but everyone has fucked with it 1,000 times to like, why did Krypton blow up? What was Krypton like before it happened? Like what was Superman's parents like, right? So like there's a extremely definitive Superman origin story that like my dad can tell you, right? That like literally every person knows, right? But once you get past that, there's like 1,000 iterations of like what Krypton is like. Is it the sort of cold version that Byrne created, which was sort of like the technologically advanced, like kind of like it's been a long time since I read the Byrne one.
Utopian society.
Yeah, like
doomed planet. Nothing. Yeah.
So advanced, and incredibly advanced and a little bit cold. And, you have your sort of classic Silver Age, like it turns out everyone survived from Krypton because Superman keeps meeting Kryptonians like every 3 months. And, everyone's had their sort of go at it, whether it's like the stuff with, this basic story of this is it's about 2 young people, teenagers on Krypton. One, who's upper caste, right? And Krypton has a genetically engineered caste system where people are built and genetically engineered to be like perfect for the role that they have, right? So you have one character who's been engineered to be an aristocrat and like a leader of the planet, and another character who's been engineered to be a soldier, which means she's not afraid of death and she's not afraid of her friends dying. And like these 2 characters, like there's a little bit of a burgeoning interest between the 2 of them in your classic novel.
Which is kind of it's very Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, but to the credit, I think like done pretty well in the story, where it's not like overbearing, but it's definitely like an element of the story, right? So we have these 2 characters, and we have Krypton, which we know is going to blow up, and this idea that the Kryptonians have genetically engineered themselves into oblivion, right? Like there's this horrible things happening, and the Kryptonians aren't prepared for it, whether it's their leaders have been genetically engineered to believe that they're going to figure out what they're going to do, to the soldiers not being afraid to die, to like almost the sense that like this horrible thing is going to happen, and most Kryptonians don't understand it and aren't prepared to understand the fact that even though they're super advanced, Krypton's in danger. It's going to explode, and the leaders of the planet are trying to figure out some way, obviously, whether it's like terraforming these other planets, but it's almost as if they're not prepared for failure or can't understand why things aren't working. And you have these 2 characters who both from their opposite casts have their own suspicions that things aren't going the way they're supposed to be going, that there is danger, right? And you also have your classic Superman characters like Zod and Jor-El and Lara, so those characters are part of this story. Superman, you could kind of say is part of the story because
he's there,
right? But it was
talked about.
It was really, I thought they did a really cool job of kind of taking all this sort of Kryptonian stuff and kind of mixing it together, making it kind of a little bit fresh and giving it some depth, but without like, I don't know, without being overbearing about it. And I thought the art was really great too, like it was sort of the spaceships are very Kirby, and like the tech machines are very like Kirby-esque machines, but also like there's kind of like a vibe of like a friendlier looking like Guy Davis type art to it, right? Like that's the thing that kind of struck me.
I like that a lot, yeah.
Like just with like a little softer approach to everything, but like the art was really cool and the story is really intriguing, and there's interesting stakes to it, and it was done really well. You know, like the things you kind of fear maybe when you're reading like a YA dystopia book.
And I was that's one of my main takeaways, is that with a lot of YA writers that make that jump into writing, graphic fiction or graphic novels or comics or whatever, they have a tendency to try and write them like novels, and they're incredibly wordy and don't tend to let the art stand on its own. There was a lot of air in this, where
it was like a quick read.
It was a pretty quick read if you wanted it to be, but there were multiple pages where it was almost cinematic. It let the art tell the story, which
wasn't 1,000 balloons constantly. Still able to tell a pretty interesting story.
I think story and art wise, it was very YA friendly, but on the surface, but then like dealing with some really complex things. You know what I mean? Like I mean, our heroes are essentially traders. To be honest, they're traitors to the government of Krypton. They're rebels, basically trying fighting against something that they don't quite understand. But and you have like you had said, Tom, like as I was reading it, I got this feeling of like all these people are gonna die. Like I know this already. Like Krypton is gonna explode. I'm looking at like almost like a history show or so, you know what I mean? Like there was just I got this really weird feeling at one point of like I really like these characters, and yet I know that they're all gonna die, or at least almost all of them.
All of them,
It was interesting, but I mean, it deals with some really like topical things too. Themes of like people on very different sides of the government. Not understanding one another, hiding things from one another. I was really sort of drawn to both characters' struggles with Krypton and with the whole caste society. And I wanted to ask you guys, is that something that has been sort of presented before in Krypton or in Superman books? I don't remember
kind of, but I don't think as formally. I mean, the genetic stuff has been in Superman comics before, where it's like,
that was who did that? Because there's a storyline of like somebody coming and fucking with their genetics.
Superman. I mean, that's been played around with in various levels. I think it's been hinted at where it's like, this group is outcasts in Krypton, but I don't think it's ever been at least like formalized in that way, or sort of like laid out clearly.
I don't know if I've seen like lower class like laborers versus like ruling class, politicians. The way I've always read Krypton is that it was kind of a pretty utopian society, and they touch on
somebody's got to
like
build
working class
for that utopian society. Somebody's got to bleed for it in every utopia.
So, man, there's always got to be a janitor, right?
But also just like the idea of what utopia is on Krypton is like everyone's engineered for their job. So it doesn't mean everyone has a job that you would want. It just means that you like your job because you've been made
to like it.
to like it.
It's very Gattaca.
Yeah, you've been created to not want anything more than what you were created for, which is kind of that's what I mean. Like really that's a really complex sci-fi sort of theme to deal with in a book that's meant for 13-year-olds. And I have to say, like, I was not really.
A lot of 13-year-olds probably feel that way, though.
Well, probably.
They've been made made to fulfill
but you don't see it in a lot of Superman comics. You know what I mean? And you don't see it in Superman comics that are made for adults, let alone Superman comics, the rare ones that are made for kids. You know?
Well,
but I wasn't
as we figured out with WandaVision, a lot of adults just want explosions, Sal.
I wasn't really interested in this book when you picked it. I wasn't looking forward to reading it, and I ended up really enjoying it actually a lot. It was so well done, and it kept surprising me. Like, initially I didn't care for the art, and then I got to this page, if I can bring it up. This page, which is pretty early on in the book, and I'm like, this is a 5-point perspective page that this guy just threw in here. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute, there's more to this art than I initially kind of felt, you know what I mean? Like, and then he kept kind of doing that sort of thing, like every once in a while, at first it was like, oh, this is serviceable, that's kind of what I felt, and then I'd get to pages like this and go, that's really cool, that's really good, and like technically very proficient art, and it really started to grow on me. Everything about the book started to grow. The characters grew on me. The whole story started to grow on me. Pages like this, where it's it gives you such a feel for the world that I've never really explored before. Krypton to much degree. I kept getting feelings of like, also those YA stories that are like, Hunger Games or Starship. For some reason, I kept thinking of like Starship Troopers when
the military stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That kind of thing in a good way. I love that movie, but it really was not what I expected at all from this book. I was not expecting this story, and it was really good. But I did. One other question I had too was, okay, they have all this technology. They have these terraforming technology. They have these ships that are transporting soldiers. Why did everybody die? Why couldn't
apparently they're not very good at terraforming.
They're not.
Well, to me, like that's like the interesting. It's almost like the Krypton. There's no one on Krypton who knows what to do when things don't work, or like when the thing, where
they don't have any sort of creative energy.
Where it's like, oh well, we'll just do this, and then it doesn't work, and you see from certain characters, like Zod or Jor-El, there are Kryptonians who are like, this isn't working. This is like
something's wrong.
Something's wrong. Like we're doing this and we're pretending like we know the end. But it's almost not like pretending. It's almost like the Kryptonians don't have that capacity to be like.
Well, the Tribune is more concerned about a PR campaign than they are about actually evacuating the planet or saving the planet.
Yeah, it's
I was almost like confused by their like delusion of it. You know what I mean? Like they're just, I'm like, why are the Tribunes ignoring this? But I guess it would make like they assume they're going to fix it, and they don't want to panic anyone. They don't want anything to change, so they're like, we'll get it figured out. And until then, we're going to hide it. But it was almost like they're delusional. They're you have this government that is delusional and doesn't. We're fighting for reality. That seems very topical. I don't know. We're trying to. There's this battle.
Of like a bunch of characters being like, wait a second, things aren't working. They're the way they're supposed to work, or just the idea of like the female character when is changed, her genetics are changed, and suddenly she's afraid of death and afraid that her friends will die, and she doesn't like it. Like
she wants to go back to
when it didn't matter. Like that's just what you were.
Put me back in the Matrix, man.
Yeah, I don't want to be worried about that stuff. So yeah, I mean, for a totally random pick, I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I'm gonna read the next one when it comes out.
It's gonna be a trilogy, right? It's got to be a trilogy.
Yes. Yeah.
It was kind of cool also to see like Lara.
Yeah.
Some time like
an actual character.
Yeah, like an actual. She wasn't just a mom, like not that that's anything wrong with being a mom, but like that was all you ever saw. She was Jor-El's wife and she was Superman's mom, and that's all you knew about her, really. and now you're like, oh,
she made a mean swaddle.
Yeah.
And she kind of has a little bit of character in this, or like, you know, she has her own little time.
Well, she's like her you know, it threw me a little bit, like the idea of like her genetically altering people, wanting to alter people so that they're whole, in her words, you know what I mean? It's like, that's such a tricky, like, is that the right thing to do with Kryptonians? I mean, it's kind of easy to sit back and say that.
But then also the revelation that Superman isn't genetically engineered, you know?
Well, he's whole Kryptonian, right?
Yeah, where you could be like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, like Superman is, you know, he is all those things that the different Kryptonians are missing, you know,
he's
like
creative and heroic and brave and sympathetic and empathetic and
he's like the complete thing, you know, he's the stuff that they're missing, and that's what is causing Krypton to fall apart.
It was the part when they first were showing the military action and like the way that those characters were talking, it was chilling. Like they were just like joking, and I imagine that that's pretty real to life in the military, because it's like, hey, you know, you don't know if this is your last day, you're going out, and you know, it's like, but it was kind of chilling to see these kids just being like, if I die, it's fine. And at first I'm like, really? And then as you learn, oh, they're engineered to not be afraid of dying and not care, and it's like, God, that's dark. That's really that's some dark shit on Krypton.
Yeah,
on Krypton.
Well, yeah, nobody's genetically engineering people. I mean, you know,
as far as you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's coming.
So good job, Claudia Gray and Eric Zawadzki. It's a good Superman story. Yeah.
I eagerly look forward to reading the second one. Fall in 2021, right?
I think that's what it said at the end. Yeah,
I think that's what it said. Yeah, I know. I'm a young adult reader now.
You always have been, Sal. You always have been.
So, okay. So what were some of the things then? Because Chris, you had brought up at the beginning, like Man of Steel, John Byrne's Man of Steel, which changed Superman really fundamentally for the first time, you know, since he was created. So what were some of the things you felt in this that kind of changed Krypton's mythos or
first of all, getting into the caste system, you know, I don't think that we had ever seen kind of how the sausage was made on Krypton, and the cultural fissures that were there that kind of mimic the geological ones. I mean, that planet is tearing itself apart both politically and socially, while at the same time the planet's tearing apart like physically. So, you know, I don't think that we'd ever seen anyone kind of dive into that, and the dysfunction of, you know, I'd always thought of Krypton as like this incredibly advanced, almost utopian society, and this is like, no, Krypton is a really effed up planet that has major, you know, societal and you know, genetic issues. It's a dark look at like a Gattaca like existence, if you like that movie. I don't think that we had ever heard anything, you know, at the natural birth of kal-el. So I think that's new stuff that we haven't really kind of, you know, seen before. And, you know, also I don't think we've ever gotten into Laura's family. So it's always, you know, the House of El, which is weird because that's what the book is called. It's the House of El. But it seems like most of the focus has been on the other houses that aren't, you know, the direct Superman line. It's the House of Ray and the House of Ur. So I don't think that, you know, to my recollection, that we've seen a lot of the exploration of the different families. I mean, there's even like Kara Zor-El, right? She's House of El. So So that's just some of the neat new stuff in the Superman mythos that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, because usually when you see a Kryptonian, it's always like at least I'm thinking
Marlon Brando.
Yeah, it's more Krypton. Yeah. Or it's like this person was a villain and was sent to the Phantom Zone. Like
that's the other thing, Tom, is that they definitely touched on the point that there are some just politically active, not even dissidents, but just politically active protesters that have been banished to the Phantom Zone. Mm-hmm. And not because they are the worst criminals, which is what we'd always kind of heard or been taught. Is that was the word, that was like the Alcatraz of.
Well, I loved the beginning, the first couple of pages. You see this very utopia like Krypton that maybe we kind of would envision, whenever you think of Krypton, but then we pull back and you see that it's a sign on a road. It's and that
was really brilliant.
And it's just like, oh, this is not. It's a great opening because it's like, this is not the Krypton you thought. This is something.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's funny because when I think of like the Byrne Krypton, you got to think of like Superman before Crisis. Literally, Krypton was just 8,000 different things that got layered on top of each other, right? Like, there was this on Krypton, and this city survived, and like Krypton was like, if you wanted to find something that was sort of like the encapsulation of what Silver Age and Bronze Age DC, like why you have a crisis, you look at Krypton, which is just like this thing that just continually got more stuff added to it, and more people survived, and more, like there's like so many Kryptonians around all the time.
It's like mutants in Marvel. It's like
it's just like, holy shit, who died? Did anyone die? Like there's monkeys. There's like everything's.
How did that monkey survive?
Right.
I love the Bottle City. That's one of my favorites, though.
Yeah, and I mean, there's stuff in that's obviously really cool, and has survived and come back because it does capture the imagination. But Krypton was such just a smorgasbord of like 8,000 different creators like throwing stuff onto Krypton, and like Krypton had there was an entire like there's this on Krypton, and then there's also these creatures, like it was just a place you could throw anything on, and everyone did, right? And you think of like the Byrne stripped all that stuff away, right? And like just like simplified it to like its like essence in a sense, with cutting away all that other stuff that just built up over the years, right? And then creators have obviously brought elements back as everything comes back in comics. But the Krypton, you read Silver Age comics, there's this like, oh yes, on Krypton there is an entire island of people who had unicorn horns. That's just what happened on Krypton.
map.
There you go. There's the map of Krypton.
We got Atomic Town, we got Anti-Gravity Sky Palace, Jewel Mountain, Rainbow Canyon.
Just stuff just added on.
It's a freaking amusement park.
It's added on, yeah. I mean,
it is. It's an amusement park.
Jor-El's laboratory.
Yeah, and it's just interesting, like I feel like a topic we've discussed many times is like, what's the definitive version? What's the definitive version of things? Whether it's like, what's the definitive Hulk? What's the definitive, Doom Patrol? Like, what is the definitive Krypton? Because it's been done. It's a story that, like I said, my dad knows. Oh yeah, Krypton's where Superman's from and blew up. But other than that, like it's been done 1,000 other, 1,000 ways. So it's just interesting to read it.
Well, this feels like the most definitive look at Krypton that I've ever read.
Yeah,
because it really is. Yeah,
I mean, there's no Superman in it, so it's like not.
I think Rucka kind of hit on it. In his run, where didn't they like establish like a planet on the exact opposite side of the sun?
Yeah, there's something like that. Yeah, I mean, that's classic Krypton. Yeah. It's Krypton Creep. I'm gonna name it Krypton Creep with a K. where it's just like, yeah, well, there's another Krypton, you know, like the urge to just add more stuff.
Yeah, sure.
To like Krypton.
To that point, here's another map of Krypton. Different, completely
nice.
Different. Doesn't look the same.
No, much bigger. There's still a gold volcano and Jewel Mountains, but now you have different continents. This one kind of looks like Italy over here.
Yeah, not as much of an amusement park.
Not as much. Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. The Krypton, you know, Silver Age Superman's obviously a lot of fun. You know, and all the elements added to it, but I could see the modern eyes being like, Jesus Christ, like there's so much stuff. Like what happened? Everyone survived, and every creature got off the planet. You know,
I think I mean, it is. You know, there's so many different writers and creators that have worked on the origin of these comics. I don't know if you have a definitive.
And that's what's awesome about comics, right?
Yeah, it's everybody has their own. Like, I think we talked about it before. Like, there's probably more people that think of, you know, Superman, the movie Superman, which was, you know, still pretty. It honored the comics pretty well, but there were things in it that were not, you know, faithful to the comic, or
but became faithful to comics.
Yeah. Don't you tell Jeff Johns that.
He'll rip it all apart.
There's 3 Kryptons.
We gotta have 3 Kryptons in this.
There's 3. The Joker. There's the comedian.
the criminal.
You got the
Orson Welles.
You got the Funhouse Krypton. You got the I don't know. It is fun though. I mean, that Silver Age Superman stuff is just so silly and you know,
and awesome.
Anything kind of it was fun stuff. Like I said, this book made me want to go back and read more old Superman stories. That's how much I liked it. I'm like, oh, I just want that sort of, but I want this tone. You know what I mean? Like where it's light, but there's actual like serious things being talked about in it. You know, that's like I said, I don't think you see that enough in comics, let alone in comics made for teenagers. You know?
Yeah.
That once again, takeaway is that I've read a lot of like YA authors' first crack at comics, and I'm like, okay, I can see what they're trying to do, but I don't know if they really understand the medium. I was really surprised and impressed at how much of a comic this was.
Yeah, if I had any negative takeaway from it at all, there was just a few like, and I don't know if it was more about her trying to just talk to her audience, but there was some weird dialogue moments. There was some like odd, clunky dialogue.
I had to reread a couple balloons. Yeah.
Just like I'm like, I don't think anyone would talk like that. It just seemed really weird, but I guess they are Kryptonians, so maybe they do talk like that. I don't know.
Yeah. That's how Kryptonians talk.
Yeah, they're all weirdos. They're all genetically engineered weirdos. Krypton, which seems more likely if you were, you know, had this planet that blew up and was sort of striving to be a utopia. I think you would have just a bunch of weirdos. Like, you're not going to have many normal people, I don't think.
No Superman.
No Superman.
Yeah.
So what did you think about Zod was in it a bit, and I liked his sort of representation in it. But it was like, oh, okay, well, that kind of makes sense, like why Zod would be so single-mindedly aggressive towards Superman, you know, and it almost helped to define his character to me a little bit more, because like, oh, he was genetically engineered to be a soldier. That's all. Because I think when he was first created, it was like, well, he's a general, so he's going to act like this. But it's like, well, not every general would just like be that driven. You know, I think it's like comic book military personnel, which is odd. Have a, you know, whether it's Thunderbolt Ross, generals get a bad rap, I think. Yeah. In comics, they're just like single-mindedly, you know.
It's like Royals and George R.R. Martin novel.
Well, They're all just George C. Scott from
Patton.
No, not Patton. The comedy. Dr.
Strangelove.
Or Dr. Strangelove, not Dr. Zhivago.
Also not a good look at the military.
Yeah, no, not at all. But it was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. He's genetically just sort of going to be a hard-ass general because that's what he was made to be. You know, he's not too flexible.
But also a patriot and also wants the best for Krypton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
which makes him a great villain.
Yeah.
Eventually, right?
Eventually.
Is he or is Superman? I don't know.
Okay, Lex.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see those characters kind of given a fresh look at like who Jor-El was or what Zod was like, and giving Lara something to do.
Yeah, anything
to do besides just be there when something happens. So yeah, but it's also cool because it's like even if you aren't super familiar with those characters, like they all kind of you get what Zod is. He's like he's the military leader. But he's also he knows something isn't working.
Right.
Like even in his him and Jor-El both know, and they're working together, and Lara, they all know that stuff isn't working the way it's supposed to be working. So it's like
there's enough familiar things, but enough fresh things too, which is interesting. And like, there's a lot of elements of sort of other sci-fi, YA stuff, movies and books and that kind of thing. It's things we've seen before, but it was done in such a well, not hidden way, but because it was Krypton, like you could get away with it because it was still fresh. You haven't seen it in this place that you kind of know already.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's kind of a pretty smart idea to set your dystopian YA story on Krypton.
Yeah.
It's like just a clever idea.
Because you can really
everyone's gonna die.
I love the whole the whole idea of them trying to terraform other planets and like the soldiers not really understanding like this isn't working, but we have to save the equipment. Like what is going on here? And not quite understanding what's going on. But meanwhile, you have the government, secretly trying to escape the planet, which is a kind of, I think that's what Elon Musk is doing. But he's
trying to escape the planet. Terrified. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really
nice pick, Tom.
Yeah.
Hey, that's random. Yeah. That's random life for you.
So three thumbs up.
Yeah,
sure.
Good.
We're doing.
Who's got the next pick?
I don't know. Is it me?
I think it's you. Yeah.
No.
I was Kill Lock last time.
Oh, that's right. You were. All right. Yeah. Well, I thought it might be me. Mm-hmm. So I kept going back and forth between a couple of different things. And I still haven't quite made up my mind. But let me. No, I'll.
Tom and I will talk amongst ourselves while you make your final decision.
Well, do you guys want to read something new or something old?
Something blue, something borrowed, something.
Something old.
Something old.
No. Yeah. Okay.
Switch it up.
We like
new thing. Yeah. Why not?
We've been on the new stuff since the last time that Sal picked, which was a book that was 20-something years old.
All right, then let's see. Oh, wait a minute. This is I had a list of stuff. Oh no, where is it? Favorites. Where did it go? Shit. Oh, here we go. Sorry. All right then. Gosh.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, look at him. He's really bunched up on this one.
He doesn't know what to do. He's gonna pick Archie.
No.
It's gonna be Archie.
I'm gonna be
it's gonna be the Archie marriage one.
No,
He marries no one.
This isn't. Oh shit!
God damn it!
Elf Quest.
No, not Elf Quest.
Let's get into it.
I loved Elf Quest.
When
Sal was reading American Flag, I was reading Elf Quest.
I never read Elf Quest. I couldn't get into the art for some reason.
Yeah, I was like 12.
All right, we're gonna do. Fuck it, because I don't think I've ever actually read this. So we're gonna do Legion of Superheroes collection. It's Legion of Superheroes Before the Darkness, Volume 1.
Here we go.
So it's Legion of Superheroes issues 260 to 271. So it's a lot of issues.
That's dropping us right in the middle, right?
This is 80s. This is 80s era Legion of Superheroes. It's by Jerry Conway, Paul Cooperberg, E. Nelson Bridwell, and J.M. DeMatteis. Illustrated by Jim James, Steve Ditko, Joe Stanton, and Rick Estrada.
Before the Darkness?
Before the Darkness, Volume 1, yes.
Yep.
I don't know that I've ever actually read this saga.
This is good stuff.
Yeah, I think it could be. I'm sure, Tom, you've probably read it, right?
I've read these, yeah. This is all the stuff leading up to the Great Darkness saga, I think. I'm looking at the show.
Wait, it's a prelude?
It's a prelude.
Well, should I not pick that then? I have another. I have a shorter. It's not Legion. It's
Jerry Conway.
Should I pick a different? Is that too much? Is it because it's like 11 issues?
That's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Let's do it.
Or we can do. I have a Justice League. We could do. If you'd rather do Justice.
I have read so little Legion in my life, and I love hearing Tom talk about Legion. We'll get. We should get some feedback from Matt Kramer, longtime friend of the show, who's a huge Legion fan. And this is great, Tom, Sal. I love this because
I think you guys will. Yeah,
I think this is kind of a long-standing thing. Sal and I grew up, X-Men fans, which was in our age group. Whatever we are, 35 to 45, whatever, is that you were either I know you're a little bit older than that, old man. Is that you were either a Marvel fan or a DC fan. And when we were growing up, it was really like a couple different titles. You were like Avengers or JLA, X-Men or Teen Titans or Legion. Like Legion, if you were a DC fan, you were a Legion fan. And if you were a Marvel fan, you were a X-Men fan, right?
My best friend when I was a kid was a huge Legion fan.
Yeah.
And I was an X-Men fan, and I didn't I didn't read a lot of Legion stuff. So that's kind of one of the reasons I think this just came out. I just happened to see it on Hoop. I'm like, ooh, I want to read that. I'm like, maybe I'll make that a pick. And so I was like, what the hell? Why not? I haven't read that much Legion stuff, so I'm interested to see. Yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with the Legion, but I probably never read these issues. I doubt I ever did. But
many years ago, Tom gifted me with a grocery bag full of quarter issues, waterlogged Legion issues. I still have them. They're down in the basement. It's probably what my wife smells whenever she goes down into the basement. Why does it smell like old book down here? It's Tom's Legion issues. But they're so fun. Was there Mike Grell? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Mike Grell, if I remember correctly. Yeah. They're fun, man. A lot of really revealing outfits, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yes, for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Men and women.
Yeah. Yes, men and women. A lot of skin in those issues.
I mean, we could the Great Dark. I mean, the Great Darkness saga is out as well as a collection.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the classic.
Like right. That's. I kind of want to do something weirder. Like
your pick is great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
let's do that then. Then there it is.
Yeah.
Legion of Superheroes. Before the Darkness, Volume 1. It is available on Hoopla. It is a collection you can get on Amazon and all those places. So
yeah,
there you go. That's my
pricey. A little pricey on Amazon.
Is it?
It's $50, my friend.
What? $50? Dang.
Read it on Hoopla then.
Is it a hardcover?
Yeah, it is. It's it's like a 12-issue hardcover. So, there you go.
It's 300 pages.
Yeah.
Holy shit. We're not going to get this done for like 3 months. Yeah, that's all right.
A lot of Legion, and this is 1980s Legion. So how we talked about how sparse House of L was. There's going to be a lot of words.
All right, you're talking me out of it. Oh yeah,
be a lot of words.
I changed my mind.
They're going to be explaining everything.
I'm never gonna.
Yeah, it's going to be like 20 minutes a page.
Oh boy.
Yeah, way to go, Sal.
Well, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to Tom versus the Freedom Fighters because I want to read along because there's only like that first series was what, like 15
yeah
something. So yeah, I want to read along with that. I'm looking forward to the Freedom Fighters. They're one of those groups I always liked, and they've like we talked about, they've always kind of come back around every once in a while. Somebody writes a Freedom Fighters, and
who doesn't want to write the Human Bomb?
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, Uncle Sam.
They're like they're too fundamentally weird to like ever stick around longer than like 10 issues though, before it's like, oh man, Uncle Sam's like is a weird character.
Yes,
it's like he's strange. Like I like him. Like whenever he pops up in something, I'm like, oh, cool.
But he gets powers from patriotism, like people believing in the country.
Yeah. It's a little weird, perhaps. I mean, patriotism versus nationalism. Maybe there's a good story for Uncle Sam there, and the difference between all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, but all those characters like that.
What do you mean the difference between patriotism and nationalism?
I'm just saying.
Oh, au contraire.
You got Doll Man, which is like not a great name for a shrinking character.
Yeah.
Not the Doll Man, the weird Doll Man, right?
No, just like a dude who shrinks.
Yeah.
I love Doll Man, the Secret Six Doll Man.
Yeah.
Rag. Isn't that Rag?
Oh, I'm sorry, Rag Man.
Yeah, you're right.
Sal and I were both thinking of Rag Man.
You got the human. Well, Rag Man is a different character.
Yes,
Rag Man.
There's Rag Doll. You're thinking of Rag Doll.
Oh God.
There's Rag Man
and Rag Doll.
And Rag Doll.
Yes.
And then Doll Man.
And Doll Man.
Gee,
I wonder how we got confused.
D-list DC character straight.
Is there a man rag?
Man rag.
I need my history of the DC universe. Where is it? Which is now 35 years old.
God damn it. Look up Ragman. He's different.
Go to the wiki.
God damn.
So which one are we talking about?
We're talking about Doll Man.
Doll Man.
No, I know, but which one was I talking about?
You were talking about Rag Doll. The bad guy who's in Sinister.
The really weird, creepy
Rag Doll.
Contortionist.
Rag Man was like the guy who
he was the Jewish.
Yeah, and when he captured someone who was evil, the person would become part of his rag suit.
Right. Okay.
We're getting it now.
Yeah. And folks, if you want more of this, become a Patreon, and you will get Tom Versus, where he goes into all of this DC history that Sal and I just nod at and go, "That sounds neat."
Yeah, fun stuff. We were angsty teens while Tom was just having fun reading Silver Age comics.
Yeah.
You guys were all just crying in the corner.
I need more Frank Miller in my life.
Yeah, reading your sad ass crazy Frank Miller comics. Me? I'm just reading some old Legion of Superheroes
bouncing boy
stories for the bouncing boy. He's just he bounces.
He just bounces. Yeah.
Yeah. You vote. Everyone gets to vote who's in charge of the Legion of Superheroes.
What?
To read to. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Just to let the readers vote for it.
I forgot that.
Democracy at its worst.
Yeah.
Wow. At its worst. Everyone gets to vote.
Yeah. So that's Tom. Great pick. Sal, looking forward to some Legion goodness. We talked about the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/aroundcomics. You can contact the show, info@aroundcomics.com. Want to thank all of the new Patreons. Sal read your names off earlier. We've got Days of Future Stacks every Monday,
every week
before Wednesday. Sal and I are doing the ACTV WandaVision here in like 3 weeks. We got to figure out what show we're going to do after that. But I'm enjoying it. We're having a lot of fun there. You can always join us on Tuesday evenings, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time for the live stream of the video show. You can watch the video show later. You can listen to it as an audio podcast. We love your feedback. Love your support. Thank you for everything. It's a lot. Do we got anything else?
Nah, no, I don't think so.
We're good. Swag, get a sweatshirt, get a coffee mug.
Go to aroundcomics.com/shop. There's all sorts of things to buy there. There's hoodies and coffee mugs, shirts. You can get a Future Stacks t-shirt. I think is still on there.
There you go. Nice. Love the Trade Talks episodes. It's always fun for the three of us to dissect something that we've all read and spent some time with. I always like getting some suggestions. I've got the next pick after that. After we leave, after we read this tome that Sal picked out.
We actually did get 2 suggestions on the Amazon book club.
Okay.
I will go there right now and tell you what they are.
Yeah, which if you're on the Amazon, which most people are, we have a book club. Doesn't mean that you have to buy it. Doesn't mean that you have to buy it from there, but it does keep you updated on what our current and past picks have been.
Yes. There's an Amazon book club. There's also a Goodreads group. You can join either one of those.
You can follow my wife on Goodreads and see all of the trashy romance novels that she reads.
So 2 suggestions we got from they were suggested by Amazon customer. I guess he's anonymous. The first one was Star Wars Lando by Charles Soule and Alex Maleev.
Lando.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's a collection.
Charles Soule, former guest to them on the show.
Yes, he was on the show, so that could be fun. Lando, and then the other one is Black Hammer Volume 1, Secret Origins by Jeff Lemire and Dean Ormston. I know we've all read the Black Hammer stuff already, but so there you go. There's we have gotten a couple of suggestions. Please, if you do join those groups, feel free to post suggestions. And yeah, maybe
dig it.
Absolutely.
All right. Awesome. All right, guys. Good stuff.
Cool.
Appreciate it. So that's all of our announcements. Get that Legion book and check out the Patreon stuff. We'll be back next.
Legion?
What?
You got a little of that Legion for me, man?
You got the Legion?
Give me some of that Legion, that old stuff, man.
You're looking kind of ashy, Sal.
Something where they fight a circus or something. Oh, we got that.
We got that for you.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be back next Tuesday evening, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time for the live broadcast and subsequent stuff. I'm gonna go buy this $50 hardcover because I can't stop myself. In the meantime,
in between time,
we'll be everywhere in
and around comics.
comics.